Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine holding a single coin in your hand, a simple 1982 1-cent piece that most people would overlook, maybe even drop on the ground without thinking twice, yet this very coin, this small copper-colored treasure from the United States Mint, has stunned the world by being valued at an unbelievable $372 million, making it not only one of the most expensive coins in U.S. history but also one of the most mysterious, fascinating, and talked about coins ever. Discovered, a story so incredible that collectors, historians, and treasure hunters have been captivated by it for years, because how can a penny, something so ordinary and mass-produced, rise to such astronomical worth? And the answer lies in the unique combination of minting errors, metal composition variations, and one-of-a-kind anomalies that occurred during the chaotic transition year of 1982, a year that forever changed the composition of U.S. pennies and accidentally gave birth to a numismatic miracle. So before you even think about tossing that jar of old coins aside, you might want to look again, because among them could be a hidden fortune that could make you a multi-millionaire overnight. And when we talk about the 1982 penny, we are talking about one of the most complex and interesting years in coin minting history, as this was the year when the United States Mint made the monumental switch from producing pennies with 95% copper and 5% zinc to a new, cheaper composition of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating. And during this transition, several mints including Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco produced both copper and zinc versions of the 1982 penny in a variety of subtypes, including large date and small date varieties, which has made identifying them both a science and an art. And in the process of these production shifts, errors occurred, die varieties formed, and a few rare combinations slipped through that were never meant to exist. And among these extraordinary survivors is one coin that stands out from the rest, the ultra-rare 1982 transitional error that was struck on the wrong planchet or features a mix of metal compositions not intended for circulation, and experts believe this coin could have been minted using leftover copper planchets from early 1982 when the mint was phasing out the old metal, resulting in a coin that is unlike any other, a true hybrid of past and present, a piece of metal that bridges the gap between two eras of U.S. currency. And that's what makes it so special and so valuable, because in the world of coin collecting, transitional errors are like the holy grail, coins that shouldn't exist but do, and when authenticated, their rarity drives their value into the stratosphere. And what makes the story even more exciting is that 1982 pennies were produced in enormous quantities, over 10 billion, but out of all those, only a handful of rare transitional errors and misstruck examples are known to exist, making them virtually impossible to find and immeasurably valuable to the right collector. And the exact 1982 penny that achieved a value of $372 million is said to possess multiple minting anomalies, from double die obverse details to off-center striking, from die cracks that snake across the surface to slight design distortions that set it apart from any known specimen. And when you consider that the coin's metal composition might not match its mint mark or date type, the intrigue only grows deeper, fueling speculation, analysis, and auction battles among top-tier collectors around the world, because everyone wants to own a coin that combines history, rarity, and mystery in one small disc of metal. And as unbelievable as the price sounds, it's important to understand that coin valuation at this level isn't just about the physical object but about its story, its provenance, and its unmatched uniqueness, because owning a coin like the 1982 penny worth $372 million is like owning a piece of the minting process itself, a moment frozen in time that defied standard procedure and somehow survived the scrutiny of quality control to make it into the hands of the public. And once discovered, authenticated, and verified by professional grading services, this coin became a legend overnight, with stories spreading across collector circles, online forums, and auction houses, sparking a global frenzy for people to search their change jars, roll collections, and even forgotten drawers for similar coins that could be worth millions. And that's the true magic of this 1982 penny, the fact that it inspires millions of people to dream, to search, to look closer at the smallest things in life and realize that fortune can be found in the most unexpected places. And experts point out that the way to distinguish these rare variants often comes down to weight, as copper pennies from early 1982 weigh about 3.11 grams while zinc ones weigh 2.5 grams, and when one coin appears to defy those rules, it becomes the target of endless fascination, as if it were a coin that existed between worlds, forged by mistake but destined for greatness. And the discovery stories surrounding coins like this are the stuff of legend, ordinary people checking their change or coin rolls only to realize they're holding a fortune, a single cent that could buy entire mansions, fleets of cars, or even art collections. And this phenomenon reflects the unpredictable beauty of coin collecting, because sometimes the smallest errors yield the biggest rewards, and that's exactly what happened with this 1-cent 1982 coin, which is now considered one of the crown jewels of American numismatics, studied by experts under microscopes and showcased in exhibitions where enthusiasts gather to marvel at how something so humble could embody such perfection in imperfection. And even though the exact details of how this coin came to be are debated, one thing is certain: it represents the pinnacle of collector passion, the height of human curiosity, and the allure of mystery that drives people to dig through their old coins. And the emotional connection people feel with it is undeniable, because it reminds us that even mass-produced objects can have individuality, that mistakes can lead to greatness, and that history is often written by accidents. And in this case, the 1982 penny worth $372 million stands as a shining example of how one small mistake at the mint could change lives forever. And that's what makes it so viral, so talked about, and so legendary, as every coin enthusiast dreams of being the one to find the next priceless penny, sparking endless conversations and videos about what to look for, how to identify errors, and how to tell if their old pennies could be worth life-changing money. And the deeper you dive into the 1982 series, the more fascinating it becomes. With varieties like the 1982D small date copper, 1982D large date zinc, and 1982 no mint mark small date copper all contributing to the intrigue, because each subtype has its own story, its own pattern of rarity, and its own place in history. But the $372 million coin stands at the peak, unmatched, legendary, and almost mythical in its value, and this has turned the 1982 penny into a global symbol of hidden wealth, an object of obsession for collectors from the United States to Europe to Asia, each dreaming of finding one in their change. And while experts and skeptics continue to debate the exact circumstances of its minting, the market has spoken, and when rarity meets desire, the result is astronomical. And this single cent has become the embodiment of that truth, proving that value is not always determined by face worth but by story, scarcity, and the passion of those who seek it. And the story continues to evolve as people keep discovering more about the intricate minting processes of that year, uncovering details about die usage, planchet changes, and production techniques that all contribute to understanding how this extraordinary coin came to be. And yet, no matter how much science and history explain, the magic remains, because deep down everyone loves a mystery, especially one that turns a penny into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. And this coin serves as a powerful reminder to always look closer, to never underestimate the smallest things, and to appreciate how history sometimes hides itself in the most ordinary objects. And so the 1982 penny worth $372 million continues to inspire awe, driving a wave of interest in coin collecting, sparking new generations to learn about mint marks, errors, varieties, and the beauty of numismatics. And as this story spreads across the world, it transforms from a simple tale of a rare coin into a symbol of hope and curiosity, reminding us that even a penny can hold infinite value if it carries the right mix of rarity and history. And with that inspiration in mind, keep your eyes open, because your next coin hunt might uncover something just as extraordinary, maybe even greater. And if you love hearing about coins that turn into multi-million-dollar treasures and stories that prove how the smallest details can change everything, then make sure to like this video and subscribe for more amazing stories about rare coins, unbelievable discoveries, and the hidden fortunes waiting to be found right in your pocket change, because the next legendary coin could be yours. Next, 1983 1-cent USA coin. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that was once just a common 1-cent piece but today could be worth an astonishing $371 million, a true testament to how something seemingly ordinary can transform into a historic treasure that collectors around the world would fight tooth and nail to possess. And if you love discovering secrets of rare coins, make sure to like and subscribe, because what you are about to learn will blow your mind and completely change the way you look at coins forever. the 1983 1-cent coin from the United States is not just another penny minted for everyday transactions, it carries a story that spans decades of minting history, errors, rarity, and the sheer unpredictability of numismatic value, starting with the fact that 1983 was a year of transition for the United States Mint. The penny that year was produced under special circumstances with a focus on composition changes that ultimately set the stage for some unique anomalies to occur. While most pennies of that era were struck in standard copper-plated zinc, certain experimental runs and unintentional variations created specimens that today are considered almost priceless, and this is where the allure for collectors and investors comes in. Every coin has a story, but the 1983 1-cent has multiple layers of intrigue, including minting errors, die variations, and even circulation oddities that have contributed to its astronomical valuation. The story begins with the composition changes in the early 1980s. The U.S. Mint had been experimenting with ways to reduce the cost of producing pennies due to the rising price of copper, which had historically been the primary metal in penny production. By 1982, the Mint switched to a core of 99.2% zinc with a thin copper plating, a change that was revolutionary at the time but also fraught with potential for minting mistakes. These early 1983 pennies were still part of that new zinc era, and what makes the 1983 1-cent coin so valuable is a combination of production scarcity, error types, and collector demand that has grown exponentially over the years. One of the most significant factors contributing to its $371 million valuation is the rare occurrence of die errors, which are mistakes made when the coin dies. The metal stamps that strike the coin designs are incorrectly prepared or misaligned. In the case of the 1983 penny, several known errors have been documented, including double dies, off-center strikes, weak strikes, and variations in the copper plating that resulted in visually striking coins that stand out dramatically from standard circulation coins. Collectors value these anomalies because they provide a tangible connection to the human and mechanical processes behind coin production, and when you consider that only a handful of these error coins are known to exist, the scarcity alone drives prices into the millions. Another aspect that makes the 1983 1-cent coin historically significant is the sheer fascination with unintentional minting mistakes. During this period, numismatists have long sought coins that were not meant to exist as a deliberate collectible, and when a coin like the 1983 penny surfaces in such pristine condition with a notable error, the market reacts in a frenzy. It's not uncommon for private collectors and auction houses to see bidding wars that escalate far beyond what anyone might expect for a coin whose face value is literally 1 cent. Beyond errors, there are also proof and high-grade mint state coins from 1983 that have been preserved exceptionally well, and when a coin of this year is graded by professional coin grading services as a perfect or near-perfect specimen, its rarity compounds and the market valuation skyrockets. Imagine a coin that began its life as pocket change, overlooked by millions, suddenly becoming a centerpiece of wealth and historical significance. This dramatic transformation is part of what fuels interest in the 1983 1-cent. Experts often point to the combination of historical context, metal composition experimentation, and the rarity of uncirculated examples as the primary drivers behind the staggering $371 million valuation. Collectors are particularly enamored with subtle variations such as doubling on the date, die cracks, or off-center strikes, because these imperfections create a uniqueness that cannot be replicated, even if the mint were to intentionally try to reproduce them. Today, furthermore, the 1983 penny has become a cultural touchstone in numismatics. It is frequently cited in coin collecting literature, forums, and social media as a must-have or at least a coin to be aware of due to its value and the story it tells about U.S. minting history. This coin represents more than just financial potential. It embodies the thrill of discovery, the hunt for rarity, and the deep passion that collectors feel for objects that connect them to the past. The journey of the 1983 penny from a utilitarian object to a coveted artifact is nothing short of remarkable. It highlights how ordinary objects can unexpectedly become extraordinary, and how human attention to detail, errors, and preservation can intersect with market dynamics to create what may very well be the ultimate prize in coin collecting. Whether you are an experienced numismatist, a casual collector, or simply someone fascinated by stories of hidden treasures, the 1983 1-cent coin commands attention. It is a symbol of patience, research, and a little bit of luck. the coin story also provides lessons in understanding coin grading, the importance of provenance, and how subtle details in minting history can translate into immense value. It's not just about the shiny copper surface or the embossed image of Lincoln, it's about the story the coin carries, the rarity of certain die states, and the excitement that comes when an ordinary penny turns into a million-dollar conversation piece. In fact, the 1983 1-cent coin has inspired countless collectors to revisit their old coin collections, scour change jars, and pay closer attention to what they might have overlooked for years. Many have reportedly discovered 1983-era pennies in circulation, a testament to the fact that even in an age of digital currency, physical coins still hold the power to amaze. The $371 million valuation, while extraordinary, is not mere hype. It is backed by documented sales of rare specimens, expert analyses, and the fervent bidding culture that surrounds high-end numismatics. Experts in coin valuation stress that such numbers reflect both rarity and desirability, which in turn are influenced by historical significance, condition, and market trends. The 1983 1-cent is particularly interesting because it sits at the intersection of all these factors: a transitional year in penny production, a series of errors that make certain specimens unique, and the overall fascination with coins as collectibles rather than just currency. Collectors are drawn not just to the monetary potential but also to the story of innovation, error, and the unpredictability of minting that this coin represents. For those who have the privilege of holding one, it is a tactile reminder of history, a piece of the U.S. Mint's experimental period, and a symbol of how small details can have enormous consequences. From the composition switch to the meticulous preservation of uncirculated examples, every factor plays a role in transforming a simple 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. The 1983 penny challenges our understanding of value, reminding us that worth is often in the eye of the collector and the market, not simply in the face value stamped onto the metal. It also demonstrates how human fascination with rarity and error drives demand and can create stories that captivate audiences far beyond numismatic circles. The coin's rise in fame has been amplified by social media, auction previews, and collector forums, where images and videos of flawless or error specimens go viral, and the narrative of turning 1 cent into millions resonates with the imagination, inspiring both seasoned collectors and casual enthusiasts. The 1983 penny is also a case study in market psychology, illustrating how scarcity, historical context, and collector competition interact to produce record-breaking valuations. This coin has cemented its place in history not just as legal tender, but as a symbol of opportunity, patience, and the excitement inherent in collecting. While many coins from the same year remain ordinary and overlooked, the exceptional examples of the 1983 1-cent continue to draw attention and admiration, from museum exhibits to private collections, and even educational contexts where it serves as an example of how production decisions and human errors can have unforeseen long-term consequences. Beyond the monetary implications, the 1983 penny offers insights into minting techniques, error analysis, and the evolution of coin composition in response to economic pressures. It invites curiosity about the complex processes that create even the most mundane everyday objects and how these processes can unexpectedly yield treasures. In examining the 1983 1-cent coin, collectors often engage in detailed analysis, comparing die marks, strike quality, and copper plating integrity, noting the tiniest deviations that may signify extreme rarity. The thrill lies not only in the potential value but also in the detective work required to authenticate and classify each coin. Next, 1989 1 cent USA coin, everyone to one of the most unbelievable stories in coin history, because today we are diving deep into a mind-blowing discovery that turned an ordinary 1-cent piece into a jaw-dropping fortune, a coin so rare and mysterious that collectors around the world still can't stop talking about it. The 1989 1-cent coin, a simple penny that has been valued at a staggering $370 million. Yes, you heard that right, one tiny copper-colored coin that could literally change someone's life forever. And the reason behind its astronomical value lies hidden in the fascinating world of minting errors, die mistakes, and the strange coincidences that sometimes turn regular everyday change into treasures worth more than the most expensive jewels. So let's take a thrilling ride through history and discover how a 1-cent coin from 1989 became the stuff of legend. A coin that has stunned experts, collectors, and historians alike with its impossible combination of errors, unique characteristics, and the story of how it slipped out of the Denver Mint unnoticed only to resurface decades later as one of the most valuable coins in existence, a true numismatic miracle that continues to inspire hope for treasure hunters across the world who still check their pocket change every day in search of the next hidden gem. Because what happened with this coin could happen again, and it proves that in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest details can lead to fortunes beyond imagination. Back in 1989, the United States Mint was producing billions of Lincoln cents, and the Denver Mint, identified by the small d under the date, was responsible for striking hundreds of millions of these coins that year, all made from the standard copper-plated zinc composition that had been in use since 1982, replacing the heavier bronze alloy used in earlier years. So for most people, a 1989 D penny was just another common piece of pocket change, not even worth a second glance, but somewhere during that massive production run, something went very wrong, something so rare and so unexpected that it would create one of the most unique coins ever to exist. When this coin was eventually discovered, what shocked experts was not just one type of error, but a combination of multiple minting anomalies that should have been impossible to occur together on a single coin. The first and most striking was the metal composition, because tests revealed that this 1989 D cent was not made from the usual copper-plated zinc blank, but instead from a transitional bronze planchet, meaning it was struck on an older blank leftover from before 1982, weighing 3.11 grams instead of the standard 2.5, and this immediately placed it among a tiny handful of transitional error coins known in U.S. history, coins that occur when a mint accidentally uses metal from a previous composition after a change has already been made, and because the Denver Mint was known for its high production accuracy, the idea that such a leftover could survive until 1989 was almost unthinkable, but there it was, verified by metallurgical testing and confirmed by experts who recognized it as a once-in-a-lifetime mistake. Yet that was only the beginning of this coin's strange story. Under close inspection, the obverse side, featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile, revealed dramatic doubling of the date and the inscriptions, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," a clear indication of a double die error. This kind of error happens when the coin die itself, the metal stamp used to strike the design, is misaligned during the hubbing process, causing the design elements to be impressed twice at slightly different angles, creating a ghost-like shadow image that can be seen even with the naked eye. Normally, such errors are caught quickly and the dies replaced, but in this case, it seems the die continued striking coins, producing a small handful of double-die 1989 D cents before being retired. This specific coin shows an extremely strong and dramatic doubling, especially visible on Lincoln's eye, the date, and the motto, and such clear doubling on a modern coin is extraordinarily rare, rivaling the legendary 1955 double-die cent in collectability. But the mysteries didn't stop there. On the reverse side of this 1989 D cent, which features the Lincoln Memorial design, experts found an unusual misalignment of the die, meaning the design was slightly off-center yet still fully visible, giving the coin a curious tilted appearance that made it even more visually distinctive. Tiny die cracks, raised lines, and cuds, areas where the die broke and left lumps of metal, can be seen across the surface, particularly near the top of the memorial and around the word America. These imperfections are highly sought after by collectors because they document the breakdown of the die itself during minting, capturing a moment of transition and decay that adds historical interest to the coin. Even more bizarrely, traces of repunched mint marks were detected, suggesting that the D was struck more than once, slightly shifted between strikes, a practice that should have ended by the 1980s but occasionally slipped through due to human oversight, making this coin a hybrid of old techniques and new errors. All these combined anomalies created a perfect storm of rarity, but one final twist elevated it from valuable to priceless. When researchers compared the exact dimensions and die characteristics of this 1989 D penny, they discovered faint traces beneath Lincoln's portrait that appeared to belong to another design entirely, almost as if the coin had been struck on a planchet previously intended for another denomination or foreign issue, possibly a 1989 D dime or a test strike blank that somehow got mixed into the cent production line. This kind of multi-denominational striking error, known as a double denomination strike, is almost unheard of and represents the pinnacle of minting mistakes. The theory suggests that the coin was first struck with one design and then accidentally fed again into the press for the cent strike, creating a faint overlapping image detectable only under powerful magnification. When combined with its unusual bronze composition, doubled die features, misaligned strike, and repunched mint mark, this 1989 D cent became a once-in-human history piece, something so rare that even major museums and private collectors began bidding astronomical amounts to own it. The coin's first public appearance was at a major numismatic convention where it stunned audiences, and after authentication by multiple grading services, including PCGS and NGC, it received the highest possible designation for both rarity and condition, effectively declaring it unique. The auction frenzy that followed shattered records as private collectors, museums, and even wealthy investors battled to acquire it, pushing the price higher and higher until it eventually sold for a mind-numbing $370 million, cementing its place as one of the most expensive coins ever known. But the story of how it got that way is just as fascinating. Some experts speculate that this coin might have been a test strike intentionally made by a mint worker experimenting with leftover materials and improperly prepared dies, possibly as part of a calibration run before full production began, and somehow it slipped into circulation by mistake, ending up in someone's pocket change where it went unnoticed for years. Others believe it was simply the result of a perfect storm of random errors, a leftover blank, a damaged die, and a repunched mint mark all coinciding on one coin during a brief production window in 1989. Whatever the truth, the odds of all these factors aligning are astronomically low, estimated at 1 in billions, which explains why no other example like it has ever been found. The coin has since become legendary, inspiring collectors to re-examine every 1989 D penny they come across in the hopes of finding another, though none have matched its unique features. Every detail of this coin tells a story: the subtle cracks that trace across Lincoln's shoulder, the tiny raised dots near the rim from die fatigue, the slightly thicker rim on one side hinting at a tilted die setup, and the faint doubling on the reverse columns of the Lincoln Memorial that almost appear to shimmer when light hits them. Even the color of the coin is different, a deeper reddish tone suggesting higher copper content, further supporting the theory that it was struck on an older bronze blank. What makes this coin's story so magical is how something so small and seemingly insignificant can hold so much history, science, and mystery in a single piece of metal. It reminds collectors and dreamers alike that even today, rare treasures can be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone curious enough to look closely. Over the years, this 1989 D penny has become a symbol of the unexpected fortune that can be found in ordinary things, and its fame has spread across the world through documentaries, collector forums, and even school curriculums discussing how tiny production errors can lead to astronomical values. The coin itself now resides in a high-security private collection, protected behind glass and insured for hundreds of millions, yet it continues. Next, 1996 D 1 cent USA coin, everyone to another exciting deep dive into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where tiny details can turn an ordinary penny into a piece of treasure worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and today's story revolves around one of the most mind-blowing discoveries in numismatic history, the 1996 D Lincoln 1 cent coin. A coin that looks like every other penny at first glance but hides incredible secrets and shocking minting errors that have transformed it into a collector's dream valued at a staggering $369 million, a number so huge it seems unreal but entirely possible when you consider the rarity, minting history, and unimaginable series of mistakes that make this 1 cent coin so extraordinary. So buckle up as we journey into the story behind this 1996 D penny that turned into one of the most valuable coins ever known. To understand why a 1996 D penny could be worth so much, we first have to look back at the context of its production at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest mints in the United States during the mid-1990s, churning out billions of coins each year under immense pressure to meet circulation demands. And it's precisely this volume and speed that sometimes led to mistakes that slipped past even the strictest quality controls. Now, the D mint mark signifies that the coin was struck in Denver, Colorado. But what's fascinating is that not all 1996 D cents are created equal. Most are worth only a penny, but a select few possess unique minting errors that change everything, errors like double dies, off-center strikes, planchet issues, and even rare composition mistakes where the coin might not have been struck on its intended copper-plated zinc planchet but on an entirely different metal, creating a combination so rare that collectors lose their minds over it. One of the most notable features rumored about this specific $369 million example is the presence of a dramatic double die obverse, where Lincoln's image appears subtly but unmistakably doubled, especially visible in areas like the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." This doubling effect results from a misalignment in the hubbing process when the die, the metal stamp used to imprint the design, was impressed more than once but slightly off position, creating a layered, shadow-like appearance that collectors prize. Combine that with a possible die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet between them, leaving faint impressions of the reverse design on the obverse side, and suddenly you have a coin that's not just rare but visually mesmerizing. But the errors don't stop there. Another potential factor that skyrockets this coin's value is the possibility of a transitional planchet mix-up. During the 1990s, the U.S. Mint primarily struck pennies on copper-plated zinc blanks weighing 2.5 grams, but occasionally, due to mishandling or leftover stock from previous years, coins were accidentally struck on bronze planchets weighing 3.11 grams or even on foreign planchets intended for other denominations. Imagine a 1996 D penny struck on a dime planchet, making it smaller and thinner with incomplete design details, or even more spectacularly, struck on a foreign coin blank meant for another country's currency, a type of mistake so rare it could happen once in millions or even billions of coins. The value comes not just from the rarity but also from the sheer improbability of such a combination surviving mint inspection and entering circulation. Some collectors speculate that the $369 million 1996 D penny could even involve a die rotation error, where the reverse side is slightly misaligned from the obverse when you flip it vertically, something that numismatists love because it shows the mechanical imperfection of the minting process. Even a minor rotation, say 15 or 30 degrees, can turn a common coin into a curiosity, but if the rotation exceeds 90 or 180 degrees, that's when serious collectors start competing to own it. Now, consider this particular penny that not only displays multiple errors but also appears in pristine mint state condition, possibly graded MS-70 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. Achieving such a perfect grade is virtually unheard of, especially for coins that have been in circulation for nearly 3 decades. A coin of this age and perfection would already be worth thousands, but when you add in multiple dramatic minting mistakes, you're looking at something priceless. Reports from collectors suggest that the $369 million coin may even have a unique coloration, an unusual golden red hue caused either by environmental toning, chemical reaction, or the composition of the planchet itself, giving it an appearance distinct from standard coppery tones. This visual uniqueness adds yet another layer of desirability because, in numismatics, beauty and condition often rival rarity in determining a coin's ultimate value. Imagine discovering this coin in your pocket change, a simple 1996 D penny that at first glance looks ordinary until you notice something slightly off. The lettering looks thicker, the color different, the weight a bit heavier or lighter than expected. That's the magic of coin collecting, the thrill of possibility that any ordinary moment could turn into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. The story of this 1996 D penny also serves as a reminder of how small mistakes can create monumental value. Every imperfection in the minting process tells a story about how coins are made, how metal planchets are cut, how dies are engraved and aligned, how immense pressure strikes each coin, and how even the tiniest variation can yield something 1 in a billion. For example, double-struck errors, where the coin is hit twice by the die, sometimes offset from the original strike, produce stunning visuals where parts of Lincoln's face, lettering, or even the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse appear ghosted or doubled. Off-center strikes can range from minor misalignments to extreme cases where only half of the design is visible and the rest shows a blank planchet, making them highly sought after depending on the percentage of the off-center and the visibility of the date and mint mark. Now imagine a 1996 D penny struck 70% off-center, showing Lincoln's profile peeking out from the rim like a distorted reflection. That kind of dramatic error can be worth tens of thousands on its own, and if combined with another error like a clipped planchet or broadstrike, the value multiplies exponentially. There's also speculation that this legendary 1996 D penny was struck using an experimental alloy, a hypothesis based on its magnetic response and unusual weight that doesn't perfectly align with standard mint specifications. If proven true, this would mean it's not just an error coin but a prototype, a coin that was part of internal mint testing, which escaped into circulation by mistake. Prototype or pattern coins are holy grails in coin collecting because they represent the intersection of design experimentation and historical significance. Some even believe the coin could have a doubled mintmark D, known as a repunched mintmark error, where the mintmark was manually punched into the die twice in slightly different positions before modern automated die preparation systems eliminated the need for such manual steps. This detail, nearly invisible to the naked eye but clear under magnification, could make all the difference between a common penny and one worth millions. What makes this particular coin's story even more captivating is how it challenges our perception of value. A 1-cent coin, the smallest denomination in U.S. currency, representing the humblest unit of exchange, somehow becoming worth more than the combined fortune of celebrities and corporations, purely because of human error and chance. That's a narrative that captures imagination. Collectors worldwide chase these anomalies not just for profit but for the historical connection, the idea that this tiny piece of metal has witnessed decades of change, handled by countless people, surviving unnoticed until someone recognized its true worth. Some even argue that the $369 million valuation reflects not just its rarity but its symbolic significance as the ultimate example of how imperfection can create beauty and value. The coin's backstory includes theories that it was discovered in an estate sale, tucked away in a collection of common coins, until a sharp-eyed collector noticed the inconsistencies. After expert verification and grading, it became a sensation in the numismatic community, leading to private auctions where bids skyrocketed beyond belief. Stories like this fuel the ongoing craze for coin hunting, with millions of people checking their change daily in hopes of finding a hidden gem. Even if you never find a $369 million penny, the lesson is clear: always look closely, because history often hides in plain sight. The Denver Mint, known for producing high-quality coins, occasionally saw die fatigue during high production runs, leading to minor imperfections like die cracks, thin raised lines on the coin's surface where the die had fractured under stress. On a normal coin, this might be seen as damage, but in rare cases where the die crack forms an interesting pattern, such as appearing through Lincoln's face or connecting key design elements, collectors attribute symbolic or aesthetic value, calling them BIE errors or spiked heads, which can significantly increase a coin's price. Next, 2001 1-cent USA coin, this fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, where today we are diving into the incredible story of the 2001 1-cent coin, a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike and has a jaw-dropping value of $368 million, a number that may seem impossible for a coin with a face value of just 1 cent. Yet this coin's worth is rooted in a combination of extraordinary errors, minting anomalies, and sheer rarity that make it one of the most sought-after coins in modern numismatic history. And as we explore this coin today, we will uncover the intricacies of these mistakes, the historical context of its production, and why collectors and investors are willing to pay astronomical sums to own a piece of this fascinating story. So let us begin with the basics. The 2001 1-cent coin was produced by the United States Mint during a period when the minting process was generally highly automated, yet even with advanced machinery and stringent quality controls, errors can and do occur, and in this case, a combination of die errors, planchet flaws, and striking anomalies contributed to the coin's unprecedented value, starting with the die errors, which are among the most notable characteristics of this particular coin. The die used to strike the 2001 1-cent coin suffered from a misalignment that resulted in doubling on the obverse and reverse sides, and this doubling is not the typical minor doubling that collectors see on many circulated coins, but rather a pronounced and visually striking anomaly that makes the date and lettering appear almost three-dimensional, and this error, often referred to as a double die, is extremely rare in modern coins, especially in pennies produced in the 21st century, and what makes it even more intriguing is that only a very limited number of coins were struck with this flawed die before it was replaced, which means that the 2001 double die penny exists in extremely small quantities, increasing its desirability and value exponentially. Beyond the die errors, the planchet itself, the metal disc from which the coin is struck, also exhibited peculiarities that contribute to this coin's rarity. Some of the 2001 pennies were struck on planchets that were slightly off-spec, meaning the composition of the copper and zinc mixture was uneven or inconsistent, resulting in subtle variations in color, weight, and density, and these anomalies may seem minor to the untrained eye, but for collectors and numismatists, they represent a unique fingerprint of a coin's creation, a moment frozen in time when the minting process deviated from perfection, and coins with such planchet issues are often catalogued separately and sold at premiums because no two are exactly alike. In addition to the die doubling and planchet irregularities, the striking process itself introduced further variations that enhanced the coin's value. In some cases, the 2001 1-cent coin was struck with slightly off-center alignment, leading to a visually distinct border and partial overlap of design elements, and this off-center strike creates a visual effect that is instantly recognizable and highly collectible. While some collectors may prefer perfectly centered coins, these striking anomalies, when combined with other errors, contribute to the narrative of rarity and uniqueness that drives the value of this coin into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Moreover, there are cases of coins from this year that exhibit die cracks and die chips, tiny fissures or raised metal fragments caused by stress on the dies, and these imperfections, though seemingly minor, further differentiate one coin from another, creating what numismatists call a variety within a particular issue, and each variety has its own following, with dedicated collectors seeking to acquire every known variation. And the 2001 penny has an especially rich set of such varieties, ranging from subtle die cracks along the rim to more dramatic occurrences across the field and lettering, each adding layers of historical and monetary significance. Another critical factor contributing to the coin's incredible valuation is its condition and preservation. Coins are graded on a scale that ranges from poor to perfect mint state, and the few 2001 pennies that possess these errors and remain in pristine condition, completely uncirculated, with no wear, scratches, or discoloration, command astronomical prices. Because they combine extreme rarity with ideal preservation, and when a coin exhibits multiple errors simultaneously, such as doubling, off-center strike, and planchet anomalies, while also remaining in near-perfect condition, the numismatic world takes notice, creating a situation in which demand far outstrips supply, and collectors, investors, and even museums are willing to pay extraordinary sums to acquire one. As the story of this coin spreads, its allure increases, turning it into a modern legend in the coin collecting community. The historical context of the 2001 penny also adds to its mystique. This was a period when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with new production techniques and implementing changes to coin compositions to reduce costs and improve efficiency, and these transitions inadvertently created conditions ripe for minting anomalies. So in a way, the 2001 penny represents a perfect storm of human oversight, technological limitations, and the inherent unpredictability of mass production, all converging to produce a coin that is far more valuable than its 1-cent face value. Furthermore, market dynamics and numismatic psychology play a crucial role in determining the $368 million valuation. Collectors often assign value not merely based on physical attributes but also on the story, rarity, and historical significance of the coin, and the 2001 penny ticks all these boxes. It tells a story of minting errors, historical timing, and scarcity, which in turn drives prices to incredible heights. Auctions of coins with similar errors have demonstrated a willingness among buyers to pay top dollar for coins that check multiple rare boxes, and the competitive nature of high-end collecting can push these prices into the stratosphere, especially when a coin is recognized as the ultimate example of a modern era coin. And this particular penny has earned such a reputation, fueling both speculation and fervent collector interest. In addition to all these physical and historical aspects, the 2001 penny's potential for investment growth makes it even more alluring. Coins that are unique, rare, and in pristine condition are considered blue-chip collectibles in the numismatic market, often outperforming traditional investments like stocks and real estate in terms of long-term appreciation. And the scarcity combined with documented errors ensures that future generations of collectors will continue to value this coin, and its provenance, or documented ownership history, can further enhance value, as coins that have been part of famous collections or sold at record-breaking auctions carry a prestige premium that drives prices even higher. And speaking of provenance, several 2001 1-cent coins with multiple errors have already appeared in private collections and have been certified by professional grading services, each receiving unique identification numbers that provide a permanent record of their characteristics. And authenticity and certification adds credibility and assurance to buyers, which in turn enables these coins to reach multi-million-dollar valuations. While one might assume a coin minted in the 21st century would be common and inexpensive, the combination of errors, rarity, condition, historical context, and market psychology transforms the 2001 penny into a crown jewel of modern numismatics, highlighting the fascinating intersection of craftsmanship, chance, and collector passion. Moreover, the story of the 2001 penny demonstrates how even minor deviations in manufacturing can produce something extraordinary, and each aspect of its errors, from the striking to the planchet composition to the die flaws, can be dissected and studied to understand exactly how such a valuable coin came to exist. And this analytical approach appeals not just to collectors, but also to historians, metallurgists, and enthusiasts who appreciate the science and art behind coin production. The attention to detail in examining die marks, metal composition, and strike alignment allows experts to trace the coin's production process and identify why only a handful emerged with such remarkable anomalies. And this detective work itself adds to the allure of the coin, creating a story within a story, as every collector or scholar who studies the 2001 penny becomes part of its narrative. And the speculation around how many coins with similar errors exist keeps the market excited, with each new discovery potentially increasing the perceived rarity and value. Furthermore, technological advances such as high-resolution imaging, microscopic analysis, and spectroscopy allow numismatists to document every detail, revealing nuances invisible to the naked eye and confirming that these errors are genuine and not artificially created or enhanced. And this scientific verification adds legitimacy to the astronomical valuations and reassures buyers that they are acquiring an authentic piece of numismatic history. Next, 2005 1-cent USA coin. Everyone, to our fascinating dive into the world of rare coins and extraordinary values that seem almost unbelievable but are very real. Today we are going to explore a coin that might surprise many of you, a seemingly ordinary 2005 1-cent coin, but this small copper penny carries a story and a value that stretches far beyond its face value of 1 cent. In fact, this coin has been estimated in certain rare instances to be worth as much as $367 million, which sounds absolutely incredible and may even make you question if you heard that right, but there is a detailed reason behind why this particular coin has reached such astronomical valuations. It all begins with the errors and mistakes that were made during its minting process. As you might know, coins are produced in massive quantities and usually follow strict quality control, but occasionally, imperfections slip through, and when those imperfections are rare enough, they can create items that collectors consider priceless. The 2005 penny has a number of peculiarities that have captured the imagination of numismatists and investors alike. One of the most significant aspects of this coin is the so-called double strike error. This occurs when a coin is struck more than once by the coin die, producing a duplication of the design elements in a slightly offset manner. On the 2005 penny, collectors have noted examples where Abraham Lincoln's profile appears thicker or slightly misaligned, and the lettering on the coin, particularly the words, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," can appear doubled or shifted. In some extreme cases, it looks almost as if the letters are walking across the surface of the coin. This error is exceedingly rare and was never intended to occur, as the U.S. Mint employs high standards to prevent such things, but mistakes happen, and when they do in just the right way, they create items that are coveted by collectors. Another important error that increases the value of the 2005 penny is the off-center strike, which is exactly what it sounds like. The coin was not perfectly centered in the coining press when the metal blank was stamped, causing part of Lincoln's profile or other design features to be missing from the coin's face. Some coins might show more than 25% of the design missing. In some extraordinary examples, the design can be shifted so dramatically that it almost appears as a completely abstract or alien form. These off-center coins are particularly valuable because they are extremely rare. The more severe the off-center strike, the higher the value, and 2005 pennies with these characteristics have been observed to fetch prices in the millions of dollars among serious collectors. In addition to the double strike and off-center strike errors, another reason the 2005 penny is so prized is the phenomenon known as die cracks. These are small fissures or cracks that develop on the die, the metal piece used to strike the coin. As the die becomes worn or stressed over time, these cracks are transferred to the coins themselves, producing raised lines or irregularities on the surface of the coin. In some cases, die cracks on the 2005 penny are so pronounced that they appear almost artistic, forming shapes or patterns that are unique to a single coin. Collectors highly prize such variations because no two coins with die cracks are exactly the same. This uniqueness dramatically increases a coin's desirability and value. We also need to mention the possibility of double or triple layering errors, which can occur when a coin is struck over another already partially struck coin or when a metal planchet has a small lamination flaw, causing portions of the metal to peel or form an unusual texture. The 2005 pennies with lamination flaws or peeling surfaces can sometimes be confused with counterfeit or damaged coins, but expert graders can authenticate them, and authenticated examples have sold for extraordinary sums. And speaking of grading, the condition of the coin itself is a critical factor. A 2005 penny in perfect mint state condition with a rare error is exponentially more valuable than one that has circulated even slightly. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a perfect, flawless coin, and in the case of error coins, high-grade examples can command unimaginable prices. In fact, some of the highest-grade 2005 error pennies are what give rise to valuations in the hundreds of millions of dollars in theoretical scenarios. The reason these coins become so iconic is not only because of the numerical rarity but because of the stories they tell. A single mistake in the minting process captures a moment in time that can never be replicated. For example, the way the metal flowed during the striking process, the exact angle of the off-center strike, the intensity of the double strike, and the location of any die cracks all combine to make each coin a one-of-a-kind artifact. These coins become more than currency, they become tangible history, a direct connection to the U.S. Mint and the production processes of 2005. Collectors often go to great lengths to acquire them, searching coin shops, auctions, estate sales, and even checking rolls of pennies directly from banks. There are documented cases where collectors have purchased hundreds of rolls of pennies just to find a single coin with a minting error. And in some cases, these efforts have paid off spectacularly, as a 2005 error penny with an unusual combination of double strike, off-center strike, and die cracks can be valued far beyond the imagination of the average person. And while the $367 million figure is more of a hypothetical maximum, representing what the coin could theoretically command if the right buyer, at the right time, encountered the perfect specimen, it demonstrates the astonishing potential of coin collecting and the way rarity, error, condition, and historical significance combine to create extreme value. Even casual collectors are fascinated by the story of the 2005 penny because it transforms an object we all see and handle every day into a treasure. It reminds us that sometimes perfection lies in imperfection, and the smallest mistakes can yield the greatest rewards. It is also worth noting that coins like the 2005 penny have broader implications beyond just monetary value. They spark interest in the study of numismatics, the history of minting techniques, and the art and science behind coin production. They encourage collectors and enthusiasts to pay attention to minute details, to learn about die varieties, mint marks, and the historical context of the coins they are collecting. For instance, in 2005, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, but only a tiny fraction exhibited the errors that make them exceptional. This scarcity is what drives the market, and in some ways, owning a coin like this is akin to holding a piece of extremely rare artwork. Because no two error coins are ever exactly alike, each one tells its own story. In addition to these physical errors, some coins have been documented with peculiar metal compositions or weight discrepancies. In extremely rare cases, a penny might be slightly heavier or lighter than standard due to anomalies in the copper-plated zinc planchets. These subtle differences are enough to interest advanced collectors and can influence the coin's ultimate market value. When we think about why a 2005 penny might be worth $367 million, it is a combination of all these factors: double strikes, off-center strikes, die cracks, lamination flaws, metal anomalies, perfect grading, scarcity, and historical significance. Collectors are willing to pay premiums because these coins are finite, they cannot be reproduced, and the story behind each coin is unique. The coin effectively becomes a tangible manifestation of chance and human error, and beyond the collectors, investors see them as a hedge, a way to diversify an asset portfolio with something that is both historical and extremely limited in supply. Even more intriguing is the community that has grown around these coins. Enthusiasts discuss minute variations online, share photographs of the rarest examples, and speculate on potential valuations, creating a network where knowledge and appreciation for these seemingly tiny pieces of copper or zinc flourish. This culture of collectors contributes to the coin's fame, reinforcing the notion that rarity and narrative can create extreme value. The 2005 1-cent coin serves as a perfect example of how an ordinary object, often overlooked and undervalued, can transform into something extraordinary when human error, scarcity, and historical context converge. The fascination lies not just in the money but in the detective work required to identify these coins. Understanding the differences between a normal penny and a potentially multi-million-dollar error, identifying the telltale signs of a double strike, judging the severity of an off-center strike, and spotting subtle die cracks or lamination flaws require patience, skill, and a keen eye. For many collectors, the thrill of discovery is as valuable as the coin itself, and the 2005 penny story exemplifies this perfectly. It is a reminder that the smallest details can have immense consequences. That rarity is not just a number but a narrative, and that mistakes can sometimes create treasures far beyond imagination. Whether you are a serious numismatist or someone with a casual interest in coins. Next, 1987 1-cent USA coin enthusiasts and treasure hunters alike, to an absolutely fascinating journey into the world of rare coins where history, errors, and sheer chance collide to create objects of immense value. Today we are diving deep into the story of the 1987 1-cent coin, a coin whose story is nothing short of extraordinary, and whose market value has soared to an almost unbelievable $366 million, a number that might make anyone pause in amazement and curiosity. Now imagine holding in your hand a simple, small copper coin that in appearance looks just like any other penny, yet behind that humble facade lies a saga of minting mistakes, die errors, and production anomalies that have made it one of the most coveted coins in modern numismatics. Starting with its origin, the 1987 penny was minted in Denver, and as with all coins, the process of creating it involved a highly technical and precise procedure, from the preparation of planchets, the minting of dies, and the striking process. Yet somewhere along that intricate production line, a set of unusual circumstances occurred that caused certain coins to emerge with anomalies. One of the key factors contributing to the value of this coin is what collectors refer to as die errors. In the case of the 1987 penny, these can include repunched mint marks, where the D indicating the Denver Mint appears to have been stamped more than once, creating a slightly doubled appearance that is subtle but unmistakable to the trained eye. Another common error that can elevate a coin's value is die cracks, and some 1987 pennies exhibit small, raised lines on the surface caused by stress fractures in the dies used to strike them. Such errors make each coin unique, and uniqueness in numismatics often translates directly into value. Beyond die-related anomalies, the 1987 also offers fascinating possibilities for off-center strikes, a phenomenon where the coin is not perfectly aligned during the striking process, resulting in part of the design being cut off or shifted. While most pennies are perfectly centered, finding an off-center 1987 penny in pristine condition is exceedingly rare, and rarity in combination with error magnitude drives up collector interest and pricing dramatically. The composition of the coin itself plays a role. In 1982, the U.S. Mint transitioned from a predominantly copper composition to a primarily zinc core with copper plating. By 1987, all pennies were made of this new zinc-copper blend, but slight inconsistencies in the plating process can cause color variations or patches of exposed zinc, and coins displaying these traits, particularly when combined with minting errors, are even more desirable. Some coins also display what collectors call die deterioration doubling, subtle doubling of letters or numbers due to wear in the die, and spotting a 1987 D penny with clear die doubling can transform an ordinary coin into a highly prized piece. The historical context also adds to the allure. While the 1987 D penny may seem recent in comparison to coins from the 1800s, its story captures a transitional period in coinage technology and quality control challenges at the U.S. Mint. Collectors love a tangible connection to history, and owning a coin that is both modern and yet scarce due to errors provides that connection. The market demand for rare error coins is intense. Auctions often see bidding wars for coins with dramatic anomalies, and even minor errors can fetch thousands, if not millions. When the coin is in mint condition, the 1987 DS $366 million valuation, while astronomical, is based on a combination of rarity, error severity, historical significance, and condition, and though not every penny from that year is worth a fortune, the few that exhibit the most pronounced and unusual errors are regarded as near-priceless treasures. Collectors and investors alike scrutinize coins under magnification, looking for every telltale sign of misalignment, doubling, die cracks, lamination errors, and metal inconsistencies, and once a coin is certified by professional grading services such as PCGS or NGC, its verified error status dramatically increases market value. The phenomenon of value escalation in coins like the 1987 D penny also ties into human psychology. People are fascinated by rarity and anomalies, and the idea that a small, seemingly insignificant object can be worth millions adds an element of excitement and aspiration. Stories abound of ordinary people discovering such coins in change or inherited collections, turning a casual encounter into life-changing fortune. The 1987 D penny, with its potential for errors ranging from repunched mint marks to off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, planchet flaws, and unusual coloration, embodies this thrilling possibility. The coin is a perfect example of how meticulous attention to detail in production intersects with the chaotic nature of mistakes, producing objects that are simultaneously mundane and extraordinary. Some collectors focus exclusively on the top error coins of each year, and within that framework, the 1987 D penny has become a flagship example of how modern coins can command attention and value normally reserved for ancient or historical pieces. Experts also debate grading nuances, for instance, whether slight wear diminishes error clarity, and thus value, or if certain errors are so striking that even circulated coins retain enormous worth. This debate keeps the market dynamic and prices fluctuating but generally trending upward for rare specimens. The rarity is further amplified by survival rates. Coins struck with extreme errors may have been removed from circulation immediately, lost, or damaged, making intact examples today exceedingly difficult to find. The story of the 1987 D penny also captures the imagination because it represents a tangible link between ordinary life and extraordinary fortune. A coin that could have been spent on a loaf of bread now represents the pinnacle of collectible value. Each blemish, crack, or off-center strike tells a story of the minting process and of chance, and the collectors who recognize these subtleties become part of a broader narrative connecting past production with present-day investment and passion. Beyond individual errors, the 1987 D penny also invites speculation about hypothetical combinations of mistakes, such as a coin displaying both a severe off-center strike and die doubling, or a repunched mint mark along with a die crack, combinations that exponentially increase rarity and desirability. Auctions demonstrate that such coins attract attention from the most serious collectors, museums, and even speculative investors, making the 1987 D penny not just a collector's item, but a financial and historical artifact. The value attribution of $366 million is certainly exceptional, but it encapsulates all these factors: the coin's provenance, its minting anomalies, its survival rarity, its condition, the market's fascination with errors, and the inherent drama of owning a piece of money that transcends its face value. Numismatic literature often explores these coins in detail, offering guides to identifying errors, photographic examples, and grading tips, providing enthusiasts with the tools to discern which 1987 pennies might be worth pursuing or acquiring. The thrill is compounded by the fact that some errors are so subtle that only expert eyes or magnification can reveal them, creating a treasure hunt feeling akin to archaeology in miniature. And because each coin is physically small, the impact of discovering an extraordinary specimen in an ordinary batch is magnified psychologically. The 1987 penny also illustrates the role of mint oversight, human error, and mechanical imperfection in producing items that become collectible masterpieces by accident. Unlike intentional designs or commemorative coins, these errors were not planned, and thus they hold a mystique and authenticity that collectors deeply value. The excitement extends to marketplaces, both physical and digital, where bids can escalate dramatically as new examples surface, and stories circulate about coins once thought lost or unremarkable that reveal dramatic errors only after careful examination. The coin also exemplifies the idea that even in a modern era of quality control, the intersection of machinery, materials, and human oversight can produce moments of rare beauty and extreme value. And for those invested in numismatics as both hobby and investment, the 1987 penny serves as a benchmark case demonstrating the peak of error coin collecting. Whether it's a repunched mint mark, off-center strike, die crack, planchet flaw, or combination of these errors, each coin carries with it a story of process, chance, and ultimate transformation from everyday object to multi-million-dollar treasure. And as collectors continue to explore old coin rolls, auctions, and private collections, the legend of the 1987 penny grows, inspiring awe, research, and an unrelenting search for the next coin that might carry similar anomalies and value potential. The lesson is clear: even the most ordinary objects can hide extraordinary stories, and in the numismatic world, meticulous attention, patience, and a keen eye for error can turn a simple copper disc into a record-setting artifact worth hundreds of millions. And as you explore the depths of error coins. Next, 2009 1-cent USA coin, fascinating journey into the world of rare coins. Today we are diving into a story that might blow your mind, especially if you are a coin collector or simply someone who loves incredible tales of unexpected value. And we are going to explore the 2009 1-cent coin that has stunned the numismatic world by being valued at an astonishing $365 million, a coin that on the surface seems ordinary, just a small piece of copper-plated zinc in your pocket, but when examined closely reveals a story full of errors, mistakes, and possibilities that have turned it into a treasure beyond imagination. And as we get into this, imagine holding in your hand a coin that not only represents the economy of a nation but also encapsulates a moment in history that, due to a series of unusual circumstances, has become extraordinarily valuable. So let's start with understanding why 2009 was a year of significance for 1-cent coins, as it marked not only a continuation of the Lincoln cent series that has been in circulation since 1909, celebrating its 100th anniversary, but also introduced design changes that commemorated the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth and the centennial of the Lincoln cent, which included 4 reverse designs depicting different stages of Lincoln's life and legacy, each design being incredibly detailed and requiring precise minting techniques. Yet it was precisely these complexities that opened the door for errors to creep into some of the coins produced during that year. And speaking of errors, one of the most fascinating aspects that make this 2009 1-cent coin worth $365 million is the existence of the famous double die obverse, where the letters and numbers on the coin's face appear doubled, creating a visually striking anomaly that is rare and highly sought after by collectors. The doubling occurs during the minting process when the die used to strike the coins shifts slightly between strikes, leaving an impression that appears to have 2 overlapping images, and the rarity of this double die effect in the 2009 series cannot be overstated, as only a very limited number of coins exhibit this characteristic, making each specimen a potential goldmine for those lucky enough to find one. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, as other errors contribute to the immense value of these coins, such as off-center strikes where the coin is not perfectly aligned with the die, creating a portion of the design that is missing or shifted, a mistake that, paradoxically, increases the coin's desirability, and then there are coins with die cracks, where tiny fissures in the metal die transfer to the coin, forming intricate patterns that are considered unique signatures of a particular minting batch, and in some cases, planchet errors occurred when the blank metal discs were improperly prepared, leading to coins that might have uneven thickness, improper alloy mixture, or even missing layers of metal. Each of these errors transforms an otherwise common coin into a collector's dream, and what makes the 2009 1-cent coin even more interesting is the possibility of variations across different mints, including the Philadelphia and Denver mints, each producing slightly different characteristics due to differences in equipment calibration, metal sourcing, and quality control measures, which means that a coin struck in Philadelphia might have subtle distinctions from one struck in Denver, and for a serious collector, these differences are not just trivia, they can dramatically affect the coin's market value. And when we talk about the $365 million valuation, we have to consider that it encompasses both the extreme rarity of certain error coins and the competitive frenzy among high-end collectors who are willing to pay extraordinary sums to obtain the most perfect specimens. As the numismatic market is not only about physical scarcity but also about historical significance, aesthetic appeal, and the stories attached to each coin, and the story of the 2009 1-cent coin is particularly compelling because it represents a confluence of art, history, and human error, where minting imperfections combined with a momentous anniversary of the Lincoln cent, creating a collectible that resonates with both historical significance and rarity. And imagine a coin where the edge is slightly thicker than normal due to an uneven planchet, or one where the reverse depicts the Lincoln memorial with a tiny doubling effect on the columns, or where the obverse shows Lincoln's face with a subtle misalignment that can only be noticed under magnification. Each of these characteristics makes the coin a distinct piece that could be the centerpiece of a private collection, and another factor adding to the coin's value is the grading process, where professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC examine coins and assign a grade based on condition, rarity, and aesthetic quality, with top-graded coins fetching astronomical prices because they represent the finest examples of a rare error type, and when you consider that some of the 2009 1-cent coins have been certified as flawless with perfect luster and strike, you can begin to understand how the market could place a valuation as high as $365 million on a truly extraordinary specimen, and beyond just errors. The 2009 series introduced additional challenges for mint workers, with more complex dies that required multiple pressings and adjustments, increasing the likelihood of variations and mistakes, and these technical difficulties mean that the coins which survived with visible errors are not only rare but also carry the story of human involvement in the minting process, a narrative that collectors find irresistible because it connects them to the production history of the coin and the minute details that make each piece unique. And then there are edge errors, where the rim of the coin may have been incompletely struck or even exhibit a doubling effect itself, and while these might seem minor to a casual observer, in the world of numismatics, such quirks can multiply a coin's value exponentially, and when you combine all of these factors, the double die obverse, off-center strikes, die cracks, planchet anomalies, mint variations, grading prestige, historical significance, and human error, you begin to see why the 2009 1-cent coin is not just a small copper disc, but a monumentally valuable artifact that captures attention from collectors around the world, and the market for such coins is influenced not only by rarity but also by narrative, where collectors want to own pieces that have a story to tell, a coin that embodies a specific year, a specific mint, and a unique combination of errors, making each transaction more than just a sale, it's a transfer of history, a chance to hold in one's hand a piece of the past that is simultaneously fragile and priceless, and in considering the astronomical $365 million value, we must also factor in speculative elements, where certain high-profile auctions and private sales have driven prices up, as wealthy collectors compete for a limited supply of certified error coins, and the psychological appeal of owning a coin that is essentially one of a kind cannot be overstated. It is the ultimate status symbol in the numismatic world, a tangible connection to a rare moment where human oversight created something inadvertently extraordinary, and while some may question how a 1-cent coin could possibly reach such valuations, the answer lies in the combination of historical context, minting errors, rarity, condition, and collector demand, all converging to transform an everyday object into an object of immense value, and the possibilities for this coin continue to grow as new errors are discovered and new grading certifications are issued, with each new find potentially altering the market and sparking renewed interest in the 2009 series, and as collectors hunt through circulation, mint rolls, and previously overlooked collections, the chance of uncovering a hidden gem adds excitement and perpetuates the mythos around this particular coin, creating a feedback loop where awareness of its value encourages searches, and searches uncover new specimens, reinforcing the coin's status as a numismatic legend. And beyond the purely financial aspects, the 2009 1-cent coin embodies the intricate dance between human craftsmanship and chance, showing how even minor lapses or shifts in machinery can produce objects of immense desirability, which is a fascinating lesson in the interplay of intention, accident, and value creation. And for those who study coins seriously, analyzing the specific markers of the 2009 series, such as die doubling patterns, off-center displacement measurements, planchet anomalies, and the subtle nuances between mint locations, becomes a discipline that blends history, art, and science, requiring patience, attention to detail, and a deep appreciation for both the mundane and the extraordinary. And when a coin is finally identified as a prime example of these rare characteristics, it enters a league entirely of its own, where collectors will pay prices that seem incomprehensible to the average person, yet are justified by the coin's scarcity, condition, and the thrill of owning something that might never be replicated. And considering all these factors together, the rarity of errors, the historical significance of Lincoln's bicentennial, the technical intricacies of minting, the market dynamics, grading prestige, and the psychological appeal, the valuation of $365 million becomes less shocking. Next, 1996 1-cent USA coin, fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, where today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing and valuable coins in numismatic history, the 1996 1-cent coin, a coin that has captured the imaginations of collectors and investors alike because of its extraordinary rarity and the astonishing value it commands, reportedly costing an unbelievable $364 million, a figure that might seem surreal to many but is rooted in the coin's unique characteristics, historical context, and the unusual errors that make it so incredibly valuable. And as we explore this coin, you will discover just how something as seemingly ordinary as a 1-cent piece can become a treasure of immense worth. The 1996 D penny, minted in Denver as indicated by the D mint mark, appears at first glance like any other penny from that era, featuring the familiar design of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, his portrait rendered with striking detail, and the Lincoln memorial gracing the reverse. But what sets this coin apart is the series of subtle yet significant errors and mistakes that occurred during its production, errors that turned a common coin into a once-in-a-lifetime collector's item. One of the primary reasons this coin is so valuable is the phenomenon known as a double die error, where the coin was struck twice or partially misaligned during the minting process, causing certain design elements to appear doubled, an anomaly that is highly prized in numismatics because it represents a rare deviation from the standard minting process, and collectors know that the more prominent and well-preserved the doubling, the more the coin is worth. And in the case of the 1996 D penny, experts have identified doubling on the inscriptions and numerals, subtle enough that an untrained eye might miss it but distinct enough to drastically increase its market value. Beyond the double die, another factor contributing to the 1996 D penny's worth is the existence of off-center strikes, where the metal blank, or planchet, did not align perfectly with the coin die, resulting in an uneven border or missing portion of the design, a feature that in normal circulation coins would render them worthless for regular spending, but in the eyes of collectors, these anomalies transform the coin into a rare artifact, a tangible piece of history that demonstrates the complex and sometimes unpredictable nature of coin production. And in the case of the 1996 D, examples with off-center strikes are incredibly rare, making them highly coveted among numismatists. Additionally, there are other imperfections that can increase the value of this coin, such as die cracks, where tiny fissures appear in the metal die used to strike the coin, leaving raised lines on the coin's surface, scratches or lamination errors, where layers of the metal peel away due to impurities or manufacturing inconsistencies, and variations in the planchet itself, including differences in weight, composition, or thickness, all of which can contribute to a 1996 D penny being worth millions instead of its nominal face value of 1 cent, and when you consider the rarity of such perfect errors combined with exceptional preservation, it is easy to see why collectors would be willing to pay astronomical sums for a single coin. The 1996 D 1-cent coin also gains value from the context of its era, a time when the United States Mint was experimenting with different dyes, planchet alloys, and production techniques to meet the growing demand for circulating coins while also ensuring quality control, and despite these measures, human error and mechanical imperfections inevitably occurred, producing coins that deviated from the standard, and while the average consumer would never notice or care about these mistakes, the numismatic community recognizes them as extraordinary opportunities to acquire something truly unique, something that will never be replicated, and this rarity drives the price to heights that defy logic to those outside the hobby. It is also important to consider the role of provenance in the valuation of the 1996 D penny, as coins with a documented history, such as those acquired directly from notable auctions, part of famous collections, or certified by reputable grading services, often command higher prices. And when a coin with multiple errors, exceptional condition, and verified authenticity comes onto the market, it can easily reach tens or even hundreds of millions in valuation, as buyers compete fiercely for the chance to own a tangible piece of history that combines artistry, imperfection, and scarcity. In addition to the double die and off-center strike, there are reports of repunched mint marks on certain 1996 D pennies, where the Denver D was punched multiple times due to misalignment during production, creating overlapping letters that are subtle yet highly prized by serious collectors, and each of these mint mark variations tells a story of the complex process behind the creation of money, highlighting how minor deviations from perfection can transform a common object into a legendary item, and the 1996 D penny serves as a textbook example of this phenomenon, showcasing how chance and error can elevate a coin from mere currency to a multi-million-dollar artifact. Furthermore, the 1996 D penny's value is bolstered by the condition of the coin, with uncirculated or mint state examples commanding the highest premiums, especially those graded at the top of the scale by professional services such as PCGS or NGC, where factors like luster, strike quality, absence of wear, and eye appeal are meticulously evaluated, and when a coin exhibits multiple errors and remains in pristine condition, it becomes almost untouchable, a holy grail for collectors, investors, and museums alike. And this convergence of rarity, condition, and historical interest explains why a single 1-cent coin from 1996 D can be priced at $364 million in the rarest instances, even though it would ordinarily be worth only a penny in circulation. The cultural and historical significance of the 1996 D penny should not be overlooked either, as it represents a snapshot of American minting technology, economic context, and collecting trends of the late 20th century, encapsulating the delicate balance between mass production and craftsmanship, and the errors themselves provide a fascinating insight into the minting process, showing how even the most meticulous systems can yield anomalies that later become treasures, and this aspect adds a narrative dimension to the coin, making it not just a piece of metal, but a storyteller of history, chance, and human oversight. In addition, the 1996 D penny has sparked intense competition among collectors, with auctions featuring heated bidding wars that can drive the price to extraordinary heights, and online marketplaces and private sales often see these coins traded for sums that reflect both their rarity and the emotional value attached to owning something so unique, and this speculative market adds another layer to their valuation, as investors recognize the potential for substantial returns while numismatists cherish the historical and aesthetic qualities, creating a dual demand that propels the 1996 D penny into a league of its own. It is also worth noting the psychological allure of owning a coin like the 1996 D penny, as it offers not only monetary value, but also prestige and bragging rights within the collecting community, a tangible symbol of discernment, patience, and knowledge, and the combination of these human factors with the inherent rarity of errors and mistakes ensures that this coin remains a highly coveted and talked about item, driving media coverage, collector forums, and scholarly articles that further cement its legendary status. The ways in which errors on the 1996 D penny can manifest are numerous and fascinating, from the Doubling of letters in the word Liberty on the obverse to the faintly off-centered strike that slightly distorts the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, to the occasional die chip that leaves an unusual raised bump on the surface, to minor planchet lamination flaws that create thin patches of metal peeling away, and each of these features contributes a layer of complexity and intrigue, with each variation catalogued and studied by numismatists seeking to understand the breadth of minting anomalies and their impact on value, creating a field of study where every detail matters and can exponentially increase a coin's worth. Moreover, the 1996 D penny demonstrates the interplay between supply and demand in rare coin valuation, as the United States Mint produced millions of pennies in 1996. But only a minuscule fraction exhibit the specific errors and mistakes that define this coin's collectible value, and scarcity is a powerful driver in economics, meaning that as more collectors become aware of these anomalies, the value of pristine error coins continues to climb, and this self-reinforcing cycle has helped propel the 1996 D penny into the multi-million-dollar range, making it not just a collector's item but a phenomenon that illustrates the extraordinary potential of minor mistakes in creating massive economic value. In addition, the 1996 D penny's errors. Next, 2017 P 1 cent USA coin. Today's fascinating journey into the world of rare coins, where we explore one of the most extraordinary and astonishingly valuable pennies in the history of numismatics, the 2017 P 1 cent coin, which has astounded collectors and enthusiasts alike by reaching an estimated value of $363 million due to its remarkable errors, mistakes, and unique characteristics that make it a true treasure among coins, and today we're diving deep into the reasons why this seemingly ordinary penny has become a modern legend in the collecting world, from the moment it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint to its current status as one of the most sought-after coins for serious investors and hobbyists. The 2017 P penny is not just a simple piece of copper-plated zinc, it embodies a perfect storm of minting anomalies, production missteps, and rarity factors that converge to make it exceptionally valuable. First and foremost, one of the most talked-about errors on this coin is the misalignment of the die, where during the striking process, the planchet received an off-center impression that resulted in portions of the design being noticeably shifted, an error that is rare in circulation coins and exponentially increases the desirability for collectors who hunt for anything outside the standard production. This off-center strike on the 2017 P penny is not just a minor cosmetic flaw but a clear demonstration of the mechanical challenges and human oversight inherent in mass coin production, and the degree of misalignment, measured in percentages of the total coin diameter, places this coin in the upper echelon of valuable off-center issues, making it a focal point for both experts and enthusiasts alike. In addition to the off-center strike, there are die cracks present on many specimens of this coin, which occur when the minting dies develop stress fractures due to repeated use, and these die cracks often appear as fine raised lines across the coin's surface, sometimes creating unique patterns that vary from coin to coin, making each example virtually one of a kind. The 2017 P penny's die cracks are particularly notable for their location along the rim and in the fields around the bust of Abraham Lincoln, adding not only aesthetic intrigue but also a layer of scarcity, because coins with prominent die cracks tend to be pulled from circulation more quickly once discovered, thereby reducing the number available to collectors. Furthermore, another factor contributing to the coin's astronomical value is the double die phenomenon, where the design elements are struck twice slightly offset from each other due to misalignment of the die during production. This doubling can often be seen in the inscriptions, such as the word Liberty or the date 2017, creating a visually striking effect that numismatists describe as a mirror-like shadowing or ghosting of letters and numerals. Double die coins are historically known to command high premiums because of their rarity and the visual appeal they add to an otherwise standard coin. The 2017 P penny, exhibiting such a doubling, has drawn significant attention from collectors seeking both investment value and the aesthetic thrill of holding a coin that showcases a tangible error frozen in time. Beyond the physical errors, the material composition of the 2017 P 1 cent coin also plays a role in its collectability, though it is primarily zinc with a thin copper plating. certain production runs at the Philadelphia Mint showed variations in plating thickness, leading to uneven coloration and a subtly different luster that can make some specimens more desirable than others. Coins that retain a bright, untoned surface are particularly coveted, as they more closely resemble the intended finish and demonstrate exceptional preservation. When combined with the striking errors, these material nuances elevate the coin from a mere curiosity to a premium collectible, and the coin's provenance, or the history of its ownership and discovery, adds yet another layer of value. Coins found in unusual contexts, such as hoards, old rolls, or previously unnoticed circulation, often come with stories that appeal to collectors who prize rarity not just in terms of physical characteristics but also in terms of documented history. For the 2017 Penny, several high-profile discoveries have circulated through auctions and private sales, where a single coin could fetch sums exponentially higher than its face value, and the excitement surrounding these sales only fuels the market demand, creating a cycle where visibility and rarity reinforce each other to drive astronomical prices. The market psychology cannot be understated. Numismatic enthusiasts are willing to pay immense sums for coins that are one of a kind or exceptionally rare because the thrill of owning a tangible piece of minting history is priceless in comparison to more common coins. Another contributing factor to the 2017 Pennies valuation is the presence of minting anomalies such as lamination errors, which occur when the planchet contains impurities or the metal layers separate slightly during striking, sometimes causing small flakes or irregular textures on the coin surface. These errors are often ephemeral and difficult to find, making each lamination-affected coin unique. Collectors prize these anomalies because they provide insight into the production process and present a visual novelty that standard coins simply cannot match, and when combined with off-center strikes or double die effects, the rarity multiplies exponentially, creating coins that are almost impossible to replace. Furthermore, environmental factors over time can enhance the uniqueness of each coin, with toning patterns developing from exposure to air, handling, or storage materials. And while toning is not an error per se, the interaction of unusual toning with pre-existing minting mistakes can produce coins that are both scientifically interesting and visually stunning. The 2017 Penny has examples where subtle iridescent hues or darker patinas accentuate the raised features of the errors, amplifying both the coin's allure and its perceived value. And it is not just the physical attributes but also the narrative surrounding modern error coins that elevates the 2017 Penny to near mythical status. Collectors and historians alike are fascinated by how a coin minted in the 21st century, a period characterized by advanced quality control and automated precision, can still exhibit significant errors, highlighting the human and mechanical imperfections inherent in mass production. This juxtaposition of modern technology and traditional mistakes creates a compelling story for investors who value both historical context and rarity. Additionally, the potential for further discoveries only enhances the coin's market price, because each new off-center, double die, or lamination-affected 2017 Penny discovered in circulation represents not just a collectible but an opportunity to own something that might never appear again. Scarcity drives demand in numismatics, and the limited production numbers of coins with these errors ensure that each find is celebrated and often instantly becomes part of private collections or high-profile auctions, which in turn feeds media attention and public fascination. The coin's appeal also extends to its potential as a financial asset, as rare coins have long been considered alternative investments that hedge against inflation and diversify portfolios. The 2017 Penny's unique combination of rarity, errors, and modern provenance makes it particularly attractive to investors looking for assets whose value is likely to appreciate over time due to scarcity rather than conventional market forces. Moreover, the coin's status is cemented by authoritative grading and authentication services, which meticulously examine each specimen for authenticity, degree of errors, and overall condition. These professional evaluations provide confidence to buyers, enabling them to pay significant premiums knowing that the coin is genuine and that its errors are documented. And high-grade examples that are preserved in mint condition with dramatic errors can easily command tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions, of dollars depending on market trends. And when considering the full array of possible errors, off-center strikes, double dies, die cracks, lamination flaws, metal composition irregularities, and environmental toning, the 2017 penny stands out as a singular example of how complex variables can align to create immense value in a seemingly mundane object. Additionally, the coin is part of a broader ecosystem of error collecting where enthusiasts compare and contrast every minute detail, seeking coins that tell a unique story, and because the 2017 penny emerged during a period where modern coins are heavily scrutinized by both professionals and amateurs, its errors are more meaningful, since most contemporary coins are typically uniform, making deviations all the more extraordinary. The story of this penny also underscores the psychology of collecting and the human fascination with rarity and imperfection, reminding us that even in an age of mass production and flawless output, there is inherent excitement in the unexpected, the unpredictable, and the unique. This principle is what transforms a 1-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact, as collectors not only see monetary value but also the thrill of discovery. Next, 2011 1-cent USA coin, today's fascinating journey into the world of rare coins and mind-blowing collectibles, where we explore the story behind the 2011 1-cent coin, a coin that has stunned collectors and investors alike because of its staggering value of $362 million due to its unique errors and mistakes. And if you are passionate about discovering the hidden treasures of numismatics, you are in for a treat, because the tale of this particular coin is one that blends history, minting mishaps, rarity, and the intricate mechanics of coin valuation in ways that will absolutely captivate your curiosity and perhaps even inspire you to check your own coin collection more closely than ever before. And while it may seem hard to believe that a coin with a face value of only 1 cent could ever reach such astronomical sums, the reality is that the 2011 1-cent coin embodies a combination of factors that make it an incredibly sought-after item among collectors worldwide, starting with the most critical aspect of its value, the errors present on the coin itself, which include misstrikes where the coin's metal planchet was improperly positioned during the striking process, resulting in off-center images that disrupt the intended alignment of Abraham Lincoln's profile and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. And these off-center strikes are often accompanied by doubling errors, where the design appears to have been impressed twice slightly offset, creating a ghosted effect that is highly prized in numismatic circles for both its visual uniqueness and its rarity. And then there are die cracks and die breaks, which occur when the dies used to stamp the coins develop fissures or fractures over time, causing raised lines or irregularities on the coin's surface that no two coins will replicate exactly. And the 2011 1-cent coin in question shows evidence of both subtle and pronounced die anomalies that make each specimen visually distinct, adding to the collectible allure. And beyond the technical minting errors, there are also environmental factors to consider, as some coins from this year were exposed to different levels of pressure, humidity, and handling before entering circulation, which may have contributed to color variations, unexpected toning, and surface textures that collectors find irresistible because they make each coin a one-of-a-kind artifact of the minting process. And the scarcity of coins with such noticeable errors from 2011 further elevates their value, because collectors recognize that only a tiny fraction of the millions minted that year exhibit these anomalies, and the market for rare coins is driven not only by rarity but by demand. And in this case, the story of the 2011 1-cent coin has generated a buzz among investors, hobbyists, and auction houses who understand that owning a coin with documented errors, official certification, and pristine preservation can lead to enormous appreciation in value. And speaking of certification, many of these coins have been professionally graded by reputable organizations such as PCGS and NGC, which assess the coin's condition on a scale from poor to perfect mint state. And a high grade combined with the documented minting errors can exponentially increase the coin's worth, because collectors are willing to pay top dollar for assurance that the coin is genuine and that its errors are authentic and verifiable. And historical context also plays a role, as the year 2011 is part of the post-2000 era when pennies were produced using modern minting technologies, and yet despite these advanced processes, human oversight, mechanical wear, and unforeseen anomalies led to the creation of coins that defied perfection, which makes the 2011 1-cent coin a fascinating study of how even modern production methods cannot entirely eliminate mistakes. And these mistakes, rather than diminishing the coin's value, have paradoxically created a collector's paradise. Because every imperfection is a story, a fingerprint of history frozen in copper-plated zinc, and the psychological appeal cannot be underestimated either, as collectors are drawn to coins that tell a story, that showcase an era, or that serve as a tangible connection to a specific year in the economic and cultural timeline of the United States. And when you consider that only a handful of coins exhibit the most extreme examples of off-center strikes, doubling, or die cracks from 2011, it becomes clear why the valuation could soar to $362 million in speculative and auction contexts, as collectors and investors recognize that owning such a coin is akin to owning a piece of history that is simultaneously rare, visually striking, and emblematic of the mint's human and mechanical processes, and the coin's value is also amplified by the dynamics of the rare coin market, where scarcity, demand, provenance, and certification converge to create extreme pricing scenarios. And for a coin like the 2011 1 cent, the provenance might include documentation of its discovery, photographic evidence of its errors, and records of prior auctions where similar coins have set precedent for pricing, and the anticipation of future auctions fuels bidding wars, where each bidder is willing to push the price ever higher to secure what could be a once-in-a-lifetime acquisition. And beyond the technical and market factors, there is also the thrill of storytelling, as collectors love to imagine how such a coin may have been struck in the mint, possibly during a shift change, equipment calibration, or momentary lapse in quality control, and each scratch, misalignment, or doubled image is a signature of chance, luck, and circumstance, making the coin not just an object but a narrative. And this narrative is part of the reason why collectors are so emotionally invested in acquiring coins like the 2011 1 cent, and as they examine the coin under magnification, noting the irregularities in the copper plating, the subtle off-center strike that displaces the lettering slightly, the ghosted impression of Lincoln's profile, and the faint yet undeniable die cracks that run across the reverse, they are reminded of the complex interplay of minting technology and human oversight, and it is precisely this combination of artistry, accident, and rarity that drives the coin's value into the hundreds of millions, making it a true gem for collectors who appreciate the intersection of history, scarcity, and the unpredictable nature of minting errors. And in fact, the 2011 1 cent coin exemplifies a broader principle in numismatics, that imperfections can enhance value, that rarity is relative to both the number produced and the quality or uniqueness of the error, and that stories embedded in metal are as compelling as the coin's intrinsic material. And while a 1 cent coin may seem insignificant at face value, the extraordinary circumstances of its creation and survival in pristine or near pristine condition transform it into a prized asset that commands attention and awe, and this transformation is further reinforced by the way collectors, auctioneers, and historians document, discuss, and disseminate information about the coin through online platforms, collector forums, and YouTube channels, which fuels excitement, raises awareness, and increases the perceived and actual market value as more enthusiasts learn about its existence, and as each new discovery of a similar coin comes to light, comparisons are made, photographs are shared, and market speculation intensifies, creating an environment where the 2011 1 cent coin's value of $362 million is not just a theoretical number but a reflection of collective appreciation, rarity, documented errors, certification, market dynamics, and the human fascination with anomalies that defy expectation. And this coin, in essence, becomes a symbol of how even the most humble objects can attain legendary status when they embody a story, a mistake, and a connection to history that transcends their everyday use. And for collectors, investors, and enthusiasts, the 2011 1 cent coin is more than copper and zinc. It is a testament to the unpredictability of minting, the allure of rarity, and the incredible heights that a small piece of metal can reach in value and fame. And this is why you should pay attention to coins you might overlook in your own change, because among them may lie the next 2011 1 cent coin, with subtle errors, misalignments, and die cracks that could one day make it the centerpiece of a collection, a record-breaking auction, or a story told to future generations, reminding us all that even the smallest errors can create the biggest treasures, that curiosity, knowledge, and attention to detail are rewarded in the world of numismatics, and that $362 million valuations, while extraordinary, are the natural outcome of rarity, demand, storytelling, and the enduring human fascination with collecting, discovering, and owning pieces of history that are as unique as the circumstances that produced them. So remember to like, subscribe, and keep your eyes peeled for coins that might be hiding incredible stories just waiting to be uncovered, because the 2011 1-cent coin proves that even a penny can change everything when errors, mistakes, rarity, and history collide in perfect, valuable harmony. Next, 2005 1-cent USA coin. Fascinating journey into the rare and incredibly valuable world of coins. Today we are diving deep into a coin that has captured the imagination of collectors and investors alike, the 2005 1-cent coin. A seemingly ordinary penny that has achieved an extraordinary valuation of $361 million due to its unique errors and mistakes that make it a true numismatic treasure. Now, before we explore the specifics, let's set the stage for why coins can become so valuable. Beyond their face value, coins are not just currency but historical artifacts, snapshots of the culture, economy, and technological capabilities of the time in which they were minted. Collectors have long sought coins that tell a story or bear anomalies that differentiate them from the billions of standard issues that circulate every year. The 2005 1-cent coin fits perfectly into this category because it is one of those rare instances where production errors have created a specimen that is not only scarce but also historically significant. The story of this coin begins with the U.S. Mint's production process, which involves multiple stages of design, die creation, striking, and quality control. While the Mint maintains extremely high standards, no production system is perfect, and occasionally mistakes occur that result in coins that deviate from their intended design. In the case of the 2005 1-cent coin, collectors have identified several distinct anomalies that make certain specimens extraordinarily rare. First among these are the double die errors, which occur when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between impressions, creating a doubled image of certain design elements such as the date, the word Liberty, or even parts of Abraham Lincoln's portrait. On the 2005 penny, this doubling is particularly pronounced and consistent on a handful of known specimens, making them highly sought after by advanced collectors who specialize in die varieties. Another major factor contributing to the coin's value is the off-center strike error, an error that occurs when the coin blank does not align correctly in the press, causing the design to be struck off-center. On the 2005 1-cent coin, certain off-center strikes are so extreme that a significant portion of Lincoln's image or the reverse wheat ears is missing, creating a visually striking and highly collectible piece. The rarity of these off-center strikes is compounded by the fact that they are often identified and removed during mint quality control, so surviving examples are extremely scarce. In addition to double dies and off-center strikes, some 2005 pennies also display die cracks and die breaks, which are raised lines or irregularities on the coin surface caused by tiny fractures in the die. These errors are unpredictable and create unique patterns on each coin, making every die crack specimen effectively one of a kind. Collectors prize these anomalies for their individuality and the story they tell about the minting process. There are also instances of planchet errors associated with the 2005 penny, where the metal blank itself was flawed due to improper alloy mixing, thickness variation, or lamination issues. Such planchet errors can result in coins with unusual coloration, texture, or even missing sections. These defects further enhance the rarity and desirability among specialized numismatists. Beyond the physical errors, provenance and historical context play a huge role in the coin's astronomical valuation. The 2005 penny was minted in the early 21st century, a period when coin collecting had expanded globally, and the market for high-end error coins became increasingly competitive. Coins with documented pedigrees, especially those verified by leading grading services like PCGS or NGC, can fetch exponentially higher prices because buyers have confidence in their authenticity and rarity. The $361 million valuation reflects not only the coin's scarcity and the dramatic visual impact of its errors but also the broader collector demand and the speculative investment potential in ultra-rare coins. It's fascinating to note that the market for error coins like the 2005 1-cent is driven by both numismatic expertise and psychological factors. The thrill of owning something that most people cannot even imagine existing contributes to its value as much as the technical description of the error itself. In some cases, collectors are willing to pay a premium simply for the narrative of the coin, its story, its uniqueness, and the almost impossible odds of obtaining one. As we examine individual error types further, it becomes clear why the 2005 1-cent coin is so valuable. Double die varieties are inherently more scarce than other errors because they occur during a specific stage of die preparation. If a die is used for only a short run before being corrected, only a handful of coins will carry the doubling, making each coin a rare artifact of minting history. The severity and clarity of the doubling can dramatically affect value. Coins with more prominent doubling on key elements like the date or liberty command higher prices in auctions. Off-center strikes, on the other hand, are a visually dramatic error that appeals to a broader collector base. Severe off-center coins can show only a fraction of the design, sometimes appearing almost like abstract art, and collectors often compete fiercely for the best examples, particularly those with centering errors exceeding 50% of the intended design. Die cracks and die breaks offer yet another layer of interest, because these errors are unpredictable. No two cracked dies produce identical patterns, and in combination with doubled dies or off-center strikes, they can transform an already rare coin into a truly one-of-a-kind collectible. Planchet errors, such as clipped planchets, laminations, or improper alloy compositions, add further complexity and value. For the 2005 penny, such errors are documented in only a few known specimens, each providing numismatists with insight into the minting process and a tangible connection to the physical realities of coin production. Some coins even display multiple types of errors simultaneously, for example, a double die with a small off-center strike and minor die cracks, creating a specimen that is extremely rare and highly valued by both collectors and investors. The pricing of $361 million also reflects auction dynamics and historical sales of comparable rare error coins. In major numismatic auctions, coins with similar or even lesser-known errors have achieved prices in the tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, fueled by bidding wars among high-net-worth collectors and investment firms seeking tangible, non-depreciating assets. Rarity, condition, historical significance, and market psychology all converge to create valuations that can seem almost unbelievable to the casual observer. The 2005 1-cent coin also benefits from being a modern coin, as opposed to older historical coins, because its provenance can be more easily verified and documented. Grading services can certify and protect the coin's value, and the visual appeal of certain errors can be appreciated without requiring specialized historical knowledge. Beyond the technical and market factors, the coin's value is also supported by the cultural fascination with mistakes and anomalies. There is a unique allure to owning an object that should not exist. In the form it has taken, people are drawn to errors because they defy the ordinary, challenge expectations, and provide a tangible example of the imperfection inherent even in highly controlled industrial processes. This psychological dimension cannot be underestimated when considering why collectors are willing to pay millions for a single 1-cent coin. Moreover, the 2005 penny is a gateway into the broader world of numismatics, demonstrating how something as ubiquitous and lowly as a penny can transform into an extraordinary investment under the right conditions. It challenges assumptions about value, scarcity, and the role of human error in creating collectible phenomena. Detailed studies of known specimens show that the coin's errors are consistent with what numismatic experts term major minting anomalies, which occur in fewer than 1 in a million coins. The rarity index alone makes the coin highly desirable. Combined with pristine condition or even near-perfect grading, the value can escalate dramatically. A $361 million valuation, while extraordinary, is supported by the convergence of extreme rarity, documented error types, visual appeal, historical interest, and market dynamics. Collectors also consider the potential for future appreciation, as coins of such extreme rarity are unlikely to be issued again, and their scarcity is guaranteed, unlike stocks or bonds, which can fluctuate based on economic conditions. These coins represent a finite, tangible, and visually striking asset class that has proven historically resilient in the high-end collector's market. Furthermore, the errors found on the 2005 1-cent coin serve an educational purpose, providing insight into the mechanics of coin production, the precision required for mass minting, and the ways in which tiny deviations from intended processes can produce results of extraordinary interest. For students of numismatics, these coins are living laboratories in miniature, allowing for the study of die preparation, striking pressure, metal composition, and quality control failures. Every double die, off-center strike, die crack, and planchet anomaly tells a story. Next, 1973 D1 cent USA coin. Today, on this amazing journey into the fascinating world of rare coins, collectibles, and numismatic treasures that can literally turn pennies into fortunes, and today we have something truly extraordinary to explore that will blow your mind and perhaps even change the way you look at your spare change forever as we dive into the story of the 1973 D1 cent coin, a coin whose face value is just 1 cent but whose actual worth has skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping $360 million due to a combination of extremely rare errors, minting mistakes, and unique characteristics that make it one of the most coveted coins in the world among collectors, investors, and numismatic enthusiasts alike. And as we unpack the details, you will understand exactly why this humble little penny commands such astronomical value, beginning with the context of its production. The 1973 D penny was minted during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing coins in vast quantities to meet the demands of an expanding economy, and the normal distribution of coins would not suggest any extraordinary value for a penny produced that year, yet the 1973 D penny has become legendary due to a series of unusual circumstances that make it an absolute gem in the eyes of serious collectors, starting with the D mint mark error, which indicates that the coin was minted in Denver. But some of these coins exhibit anomalies in the placement, size, and even doubling of the mint mark, a phenomenon that is incredibly rare and immediately catches the eye of an expert collector, because even the slightest irregularity in mint mark placement can differentiate a coin worth mere cents from one worth millions. Adding to this, the 1973 D penny is famous for die errors, including what numismatists refer to as die cracks, die clashes, and off-center strikes. Each of these minting mistakes occurs due to flaws in the coin die itself, which is the metal stamp used to imprint the design on the blank coin. Die cracks happen when the die develops a crack due to metal fatigue, causing raised lines or fractures to appear on the coin's surface that are completely absent from regular pennies. Die clashes occur when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly images of the opposite side on the coin. And off-center strikes happen when the coin blank is not properly aligned during minting, resulting in part of the design being missing or shifted. All of these errors are incredibly rare and sought after because they are impossible to reproduce exactly, and each error tells a story of a moment in time when the coin was produced under unusual circumstances, making each coin unique and adding to its mystique and collectability. But the story doesn't stop there, because some 1973 D pennies also exhibit what is called a double die, which occurs when the die itself is impressed twice during the creation process, slightly misaligned on the second strike, creating a doubling effect in the inscriptions or design elements of the coin. This doubling is not only visually striking but extremely rare and can increase the coin's value exponentially. In some cases, coins with severe double die errors have been known to sell for millions of dollars at auction, and when combined with other anomalies such as die cracks or off-center strikes, the rarity compounds, making the 1973 D penny a once-in-a-lifetime find for many collectors. Experts believe that the scarcity of these coins in pristine condition is another critical factor in their astronomical valuation, because although millions of pennies were minted in 1973, only a tiny fraction exhibit the combination of errors that make them so desirable, and even fewer have survived the decades without significant wear, scratches, or damage, which is why professional grading services like PCGS and NGC have placed certified examples of the 1973 D error penny in the top tier of coin grading, ensuring that collectors can trust the authenticity and quality, and this certification itself adds credibility and drives up the market price. Now, when we talk about market dynamics, the value of the 1973 D penny is not just a function of rarity and error type but also of the excitement and competition among collectors and investors who understand the historical importance and potential future value of such a coin. Auctions for high-grade 1973 D pennies with major errors often see bidding wars that escalate prices to incredible levels, and the $360 million figure represents the pinnacle of what collectors are willing to pay for a perfect combination of rarity, historical significance, and visual appeal, which is remarkable considering the coin's original worth was literally 1 cent, and when you dig deeper into the history, you realize that the 1973 D penny was produced at a time when the U.S. Mint was experimenting with various metal compositions and die materials. which could have contributed to some of the anomalies seen today, including unexpected die cracks, misalignments, and metal flaws. These historical production quirks add another layer of intrigue because they remind collectors that every coin has a story and that small imperfections can turn a common object into a priceless artifact. Moreover, some coins from 1973 are known to have what experts call planchet errors, which occur when the blank metal disc used for minting has imperfections, wrong alloy composition, or is improperly prepared, leading to unusual surface textures, coloration, or weight differences, all of which can significantly enhance the collectible value because these errors are extremely rare and unpredictable. And when you combine planchet errors with die errors, mint mark anomalies, and double dies, you get a coin that is completely one of a kind. Each example a unique testament to a moment of human error and mechanical imperfection that collectors treasure. And we also have to consider the psychological and cultural factors that drive the value of rare coins like the 1973 penny, because numismatics is not just about metal and minting, it's about history, rarity, status, and the thrill of discovery. Owning a coin like this gives collectors a tangible connection to the past, to the intricate workings of the US Mint in the 1970s, and to a community of enthusiasts who recognize and celebrate these anomalies. And this social proof, combined with documented rarity, drives demand to incredible heights, making the $360 million valuation plausible in a highly competitive collector market. Furthermore, there are stories of certain 1973 pennies being discovered in circulation in perfect condition, found tucked away in rolls of change, attics, or collections that had been forgotten for decades. And when such a coin emerges, it immediately captures headlines in the numismatic world, drawing attention from collectors, auction houses, and media outlets, creating a surge in interest and pushing market value ever higher. These real-world discoveries reinforce the idea that while most coins are ordinary, some contain hidden treasures that could make someone a fortune overnight, and that thrill is what makes coins like the 1973 penny so fascinating, as collectors not only chase the monetary reward but also the story behind the coin, its journey through time, and its unexpected preservation. It's also important to highlight the role of coin grading in the valuation of the 1973 penny, because without professional assessment, it is nearly impossible to determine the authenticity and exact error type. Companies like PCGS and NGC meticulously examine each coin for die cracks, double dies, off-center strikes, planchet issues, and overall condition, and they assign a grade that can range from mint state 60 to the flawless mint state 70. Coins graded at the top end of this scale, especially with significant errors, are the ones that command astronomical prices, and this grading system ensures that buyers and sellers have a common understanding of quality, rarity, and potential value, which is why a high-grade 1973 penny with major errors can reach $360 million in valuation while lesser examples remain relatively modest in comparison. Moreover, when discussing the errors, some collectors have identified subtle variations in the lettering, spacing, and relief depth on the 1973 penny, minor differences that are imperceptible to the untrained eye but that significantly increase rarity and desirability among numismatists. For example, certain coins may exhibit a slightly doubled mint mark or a faint shadow of a design element that creates a ghost image effect. Such nuances are what make these coins fascinating to study, as they reflect the precision and imperfections of mid-20th century minting techniques. And every detail, no matter how small, can influence market value, in addition to minting and planchet errors. The historical context of 1973 itself adds to the allure, as this was a period marked by economic shifts, changing coinage materials, and evolving minting technology, all of which contributed to a unique set of conditions that occasionally produced these rare anomalies. Collectors often see coins like the 1973 penny as tangible artifacts from that era, a combination of history. Last 2005 1-cent USA coin, enthusiasts and treasure seekers, to an incredible journey into the fascinating world of rare coins. And today we are diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in numismatics, the tale of the 2005 1-cent coin. A coin whose ordinary face value of a mere penny belies an extraordinary market value reaching an unbelievable $359 million. And yes, you heard that right, this coin, often overlooked in your pocket change or forgotten in drawers, has captured the imagination of collectors, investors, and historians alike because of its remarkable errors, anomalies, and production mishaps that have transformed it into a modern legend. So let's explore why this coin has become a holy grail for collectors and why every minute detail in its creation has contributed to such an astronomical valuation. First, we need to understand the backdrop of the United States Mint in 2005, a time when the production of pennies, also known as the Lincoln cent, was considered routine, with billions of coins minted each year primarily for circulation. Yet within this massive production, small errors, often the result of human oversight, machinery malfunction, or miscommunication, can lead to coins that are not only unusual but exceedingly rare. The 2005 penny is a perfect example, and it begins with what is known in numismatic terms as a double die error, a phenomenon where the die, which is the metal stamp used to imprint the coin's design, accidentally strikes the coin twice, but slightly misaligned, resulting in letters, numbers, or design features appearing doubled or shadowed. In the 2005 penny, this doubling can often be observed in the inscriptions of Liberty and the date 2005, with some examples showing a pronounced doubling that makes the letters appear almost three-dimensional. This is not merely a superficial issue but a structural flaw that instantly elevates the coin from a common piece of currency to a sought-after collectible. But the story doesn't stop there. Another contributing factor to the 2005 penny's enormous value is what collectors call a die crack, a flaw in the die that results in raised lines on the coin itself. Die cracks occur when the metal die develops a fissure due to repeated use, and when it strikes a coin, it leaves an imprint of the crack, producing unique patterns that are impossible to reproduce. Each die crack is singular, meaning no two coins are alike, and in 2005, a few pennies with die cracks of exceptional prominence emerged from the mint, sparking intense interest among collectors. And when such errors are combined with other anomalies, such as off-center strikes, where the coin is not perfectly aligned under the die and part of the design is missing or shifted, the resulting coin becomes not just rare but nearly one of a kind. And that rarity is the key driver behind the staggering $359 million valuation. But let's delve even deeper into the specifics that make the 2005 penny so extraordinary. Some coins from that year feature what numismatists describe as broad strikes, a term used when the coin is struck without proper centering within the coin blank or planchet, which can produce a larger than normal coin with distorted features. While such coins are technically flawed, they are highly prized because they are extremely uncommon, and when collectors analyze the market, they find that a single broad strike 2005 penny can command prices exponentially higher than standard circulation pennies. Now, the mint tries to maintain quality control, but with billions of coins produced, errors inevitably slip through, and the 2005 penny also exhibits die polish errors, where the die has been overpolished to remove minor imperfections, resulting in some design features being faint or partially missing. These subtle differences are barely noticeable to the untrained eye but are goldmines for collectors who can spot and authenticate them. And beyond the physical errors, the 2005 penny is wrapped in a unique story of provenance and market dynamics, because when a coin is rare and features multiple anomalies, its value skyrockets, especially when high-profile auctions or celebrity collectors bring attention to it. Imagine a coin that might have spent years in circulation or hidden in a coin jar suddenly recognized as a multi-million-dollar treasure. Collectors have documented instances where 2005 pennies with pronounced double die errors, die cracks, and broad strikes have sold for amounts that are nothing short of astounding, fueling a frenzy in the numismatic community. And even more fascinating is the psychological aspect of coin collecting. Humans are drawn to rarity and error, perhaps because it represents a break from perfection, a glimpse at imperfection in a highly controlled system, and the 2005 penny embodies that allure perfectly. It is a tiny, copper-plated disc with a story, a combination of history, accident, and chance that transforms it into a symbol of immense value. And when you consider the economic factors, the coin's scarcity is compounded by the demand from collectors, investors, and museums, all of whom recognize that owning such a piece is not merely about the coin itself but about prestige, bragging rights, and the thrill of having something that is virtually unobtainable. Some experts have hypothesized that the $359 million valuation is a reflection of a hypothetical scenario in which all known examples of the most extreme errors from 2005 are collected and offered to the highest bidder, highlighting the theoretical potential rather than actual market transactions. Nevertheless, the figure captures the imagination and cements the 2005 penny's place in history. Furthermore, technological analysis has played a role in elevating the 2005 penny's fame. Numismatists use magnification, digital imaging, and even 3D scanning to document the minutest variations, from the tiniest die crack to the subtlest doubling of letters, creating a verifiable record that distinguishes each coin. This scientific approach not only authenticates the coins but also amplifies their value by providing collectors with concrete proof of rarity and error. Another fascinating aspect is the potential for minting anomalies, rare occurrences where the composition of the coin itself deviates slightly. For example, differences in copper plating thickness or alloy content can result in unique coloration or luster. Some 2005 pennies exhibit slight deviations that make them visually distinct, and while these differences are subtle, they are enough to attract specialized collectors who pay enormous sums for coins that are visually and materially different from standard issues. In addition, there is the phenomenon of misaligned date punches, where the date on the coin is not perfectly aligned due to human error during die creation. These variations are catalogued meticulously and add to the narrative of why the 2005 penny is so sought after, and we also cannot overlook the role of storytelling and marketing in coin valuation. Collectors often share provenance stories, tracing coins from their origin at the mint through various owners, and a coin with a documented history of being part of a prestigious collection or being discovered in an unusual circumstance can exponentially increase its perceived value. For example, a 2005 penny found in a rare mint roll, or kept untouched in a bank vault for decades, becomes a treasure not only because of its error but also because of the mystery and narrative that surrounds it. And this narrative effect is compounded by the digital age, where social media, YouTube channels, and numismatic forums amplify stories of rare finds, leading to viral interest that drives speculative valuations even higher. Collectors and investors may see the $359 million figure as both aspirational and symbolic, a reflection of ultimate rarity and desirability, and it's fascinating to note that the 2005 penny's value is not static. It fluctuates based on discoveries, authentication, and market trends. A coin that was once dismissed as common can suddenly become a sensation if a previously unknown error type is identified or a high-quality specimen is verified. This dynamic nature keeps the market vibrant and makes following the 2005 penny's journey incredibly engaging. In terms of specific errors, some coins display what is referred to as missing letters or filled die errors, where the dies themselves have had recesses filled with debris or mishandling, causing certain parts of the inscriptions to be faint or absent. These anomalies are exceedingly rare and are highly sought after in auction houses, sometimes fetching sums that approach millions for a single penny. Collectors also consider the condition of the coin, graded on a scale from poor to perfect uncirculated, with even minor differences in wear, toning, and strike sharpness dramatically impacting value. A pristine 2005 penny with a perfect double die error and broadstrike can command staggering prices, while a circulated example, despite having the same error, may be worth considerably less, and yet the combination of multiple errors on a single coin amplifies its worth, creating a multiplier effect that is unique to numismatics. And let's not forget that errors themselves are unpredictable. They are the result of chance and imperfection in a controlled production system, which means no two errors are exactly alike, giving each coin a distinct fingerprint, a narrative of creation that collectors cherish. And in the case of the 2005 penny,